RayPRO, the tool from Rayner that lets us measure patient-reported outcome measures. And we've got 3 experts here with me who are going to talk about it. They're all users. We're live here from AUSCRS on Hamilton Island. Paul, can I start with you? You've been using RayPRO, looking at your patient-reported outcomes from all your lenses. How's it working for you?
The thing that appeals to me is I was, when I did my PhD with John Marshall, a phrase he had which really resonated for me for RayPRO is, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a number is worth 1,000 pictures. And what this gives you is data. So it gives me data about my patients without me having to do anything. So it's a very simple process. I don't have to really be active. It's a very passive thing. All I have to do is get my staff each week send a series of emails off to RayPRO of who's had what lens that week. That's it. And then the system automatically generates the data. And it gives me, I think, 2 real advantages, 2 real benefits for me as a practice. First of all, the data it gives me is the real-world data of what's happening. I've done a lot of real-world data projects in other forms of cataract surgery, and I really like the way you can analyze what's going on in the real world, in real time with your patients, particularly in large data sets, which is what it's kind of giving me. So if I change from one lens to another, I can see exactly what reality is happening in terms of patient outcomes, in terms of dysphotopsia, in terms of spectacle
and not just Rayner lenses, right?
No.
Any lens you want.
No, any lens I want. So if I'm using Rayner lenses or our competitor lenses, it's great. So that is giving me a lot of comfort about what is happening in my practice with the lens. I think I'm doing a good job. It looks like the numbers are very good. But you're seeing people only a few weeks after surgery. And then down the line, what's really happening? It's another marketing tool. It's a data point where you're touching patients. They're getting an email from you with your name on it, which just says, oh yeah, that operation's really well. I remember that guy. He fixed my eyes. It was a year ago. I'll tell my friends. And then lastly, every year I have to do a thing called revalidation and an appraisal where I meet with a colleague and I present my outcome data for the year. And because this is validated Capcom 5 data, I can then say to them, this is actually what happens to my patients this year.
That's actually
which
good.
is a very useful tool for us.
And what do you think about people that say, I don't want to know? You know, I don't know if I want that feedback. I don't want to know if someone's happy or not happy. Because you're getting all that feedback back. Surely not all of it's completely positive.
No, but I think it's important that you know what's going on. Because if you don't know what's going on, you don't know. It's the Donald Rumsfeld known knowns and known unknowns. So not knowing what's going on with your patients, I think you're doing them a disservice. You've got to be able to look people square in the face and say, I'm going to offer you this solution for your problem because this is what's going to happen.
Your practice, what's it like? Is it a big private practice?
It's in the UK, it's a reasonable size, but it's a single-handed practice with 1 surgeon and 1 secretary.
Okay, and that's still doable.
All it is. So all she has to do at the end of the week, you have to get informed consent. So we give a document to the patients where they give informed consent so that we can share their identifiable data with RayPRO because they're a third party. They're not my employees. So we have to get consent from them, which we have to keep, and it has to be recorded in our electronic records, which is not difficult to do. You just sign a piece of paper, talk them through it. It's just like another piece of consent. And then at the end of the week, all my secretary has to do is say, right, these 10, 15, however many names have these lenses on this date. Here's their emails. So there's 3 pieces of information: email, date,
and the type of lens you planted.
That's all she's got to keep. Sends it off to RayPRO.
Done.
And the magic happens.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Josefina, you're a very busy surgeon. We see each other at every meeting around the world. How has it helped you academically or, you know, on the podium? Do you feel like you use it that way?
Yeah, I feel we need to be aware of basically 2 things. When you ask Paul whether you want to know or not know about good or bad results, there's nothing worse as doctors not to want to know what's actually going on. Because to be in control, you need to know what they are experiencing. I mean, our patients, right? So in a way, because all data is anonymized, and this is very important to say, the results you get back, you know, they are not personal. It's not your patient sitting in front of you and saying, I don't like what you did to me. So you can take it, right? And it's only data. So first, that's an important point to make. And then the second one, we need to be cognizant that we're in the middle of an IT revolution. And data, it's only data, but when you analyze it, it becomes information, which is a completely different way of approaching it. So actually in ESCRS, in the upcoming ESCRS in Barcelona, we're presenting a paper with the RayPRO people that will show very interesting results. We had about 20 plus hospitals around the world, so it's a multi-center study, and we are showing very impressive results. We are not focused in one particular brand because, like you said, it's not only Rayner lenses. You can come in board with any type of lenses. So we're analyzing hydrophilic versus hydrophobic, EDOF versus trifocal lenses, and it's very interesting because we're going to surprise you with the results. I can't say much.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I can say a little bit.
You can say a little bit?
I can say a little bit. What would be the first thing you think your patient wouldn't like about your cataract surgery? To use spectacles, right? I will spend an awful lot of time today talking about it, and it's not. So guess which one is it? Well, I'll tell you.
You tell me.
Dysphotopsias.
Right.
So they'd rather not to have dysphotopsias than to have to use an spectacle again.
That's very interesting.
It's very interesting,
I would not
right?
have thought that.
Yeah, I didn't either. We came across this conclusion after revising the data and coming up with the statistics about it. So we have about 3,000 responses, which is a lot of people responding to the questionnaire.
And can I ask both of you, what is the response rate like? Do patients actually respond?
I'll say about 70% of the questionnaires get a response back to you, but you need to go to the extreme to explain that it's not spam, right? Because, they think so.
Like everything these days.
Even with your name and, yeah.
So I don't get 70%. I get about 40%, which is industry. I've got a presentation tomorrow on it, and that's about industry standard for medical questionnaires that are coming through. They know it's from you, but you're only going to get about 40%. But also, I have a family member who works in market research, and he said if I could get 40%, I'd be able to sell the business tomorrow.
No, you're doing excellent.
And look, you'll be probably a bit jet lagged, probably a bit tired. But I would like to ask you about, you started using RayPRO, so more at the earlier stages than perhaps these guys. Was it easy to get into?
So I'm right at the start of my RayPRO journey, and I'm using it quite quickly. And to answer your question about what's the response, we sent a stack of patients, 1,390 patients we identified, and we got 390 responses within 2 weeks. And with that data, I've used it in 3 ways. And for me, it's about good governance. And I've been able to stand up on the stage today and show data, which the audience knows has been collected by a different company who aren't marketing that lens and is anonymized. So the answers are honest. Second way we're using it. So Sana, we've got 7 private ophthalmologists. And the success of this means we're rolling out to them as well. And going back to Paul's point, I've just revalidated.
Well done.
Congratulations. So you're allowed to continue operating?
I'm allowed to continue operating. And I used actually RayPRO in that to prove quality improvement, good governance, I'm doing the right things, I'm changing my practice, and I'm reflecting on what I'm doing. So for me, it's been actually brilliant so far. And we're talking about 6 weeks. And the success of that means the other 6 private surgeons within our practice are taking it on board as well.
And was it easy to get started?
Extremely easy. I sent a spreadsheet.
And that was it.
That was it. Got consent, sent a spreadsheet.
But you know what? Even in the first week, the first week questionnaire, it's about satisfaction with the surgeon and with the hospital. And let's say those two didn't match, then there's something that is very useful for you to look into your own team, right? Because you may be the super surgeon, but then, I don't know, maybe something in your team didn't work out properly.
One of the things we found that's helpful is actually understanding what's going on from the patient's perspective.
Right.
And I don't know what it's like in your practices, but my guys get bombarded with feedback requests. So what we try to do is to try to make sure we signpost to them, this one is the one we want to do.
Yeah.
Because this is what I want you to do. So the one that I send another feedback form, which is much more to do with your journey during the surgery and the hospital and everything else, because we just want to know what else is going on. But within that feedback form, we actually say, you'll be getting this thing from RayPRO. It's not spam.
Yeah.
Actually, we do want you to reply to it. So we signpost the patients to the RayPRO thing that's coming through. Otherwise, they'll just think particularly some of the more elderly patients are just thinking, what is this? It's just trying to,
Suspicious.
yeah, it does look suspicious to them. And we signposted to them to say, just be aware, this is legit. It's coming from your surgeon, and you must, if you're capable, please respond to it.
Nice. And so, genuinely, I haven't started using it yet. I feel a bit embarrassed saying that. So I think listening to you guys, I actually will start, because I suppose my worry was that it would be arduous or it would add extra burden to staff and that sort of thing. But it sounds pretty good. So are you all going to continue using it?
Yes, I am. Most definitely, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining me. And thanks to everyone listening. Thanks for listening to another Peer2Peer podcast. And we'll see you again soon.